It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the Dixie Line Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley. We welcome you to our podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can be your best friend. I recommend you go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. We'll be talking about Dixie Line coming up at halftime. John Riley, good afternoon. Those guys on Padre TV and Padre Radio lie. Those guys said it's a great day for baseball at Petco Park. It's 79 degrees. Here at the Castle in the North County, it's 100 degrees outside in the parking lot. I mandate we move. We take this thing to Coronado Island. You buy a castle down there and build your studios there. It is a beautiful weekend for baseball. But those guys lied to me. It's 100 freaking degrees outside.
I just want to do a backyard barbecue with Don Orsillo. Wouldn't that be great? Go roll into Don Tello's, have a little early evening dinner. That'd be fantastic. And then we can invite him over to our side. You know, it'd be like the Flintstones and the Rubbles.
What's a credit card limit on your American Express Gold card? Because you're going to need 3 of those cards to live on Coronado Island, like those rich and famous guys do.
For sure.
Hey, I love baseball. We got a lot to cover. Going towards a great sports weekend. When we're done putting topics on the table, because we do sports talk the way it should be done, when we're done with this, you take it over. It's called Fans Forum. We want your input. We want your comments. Keep it clear, concise, right to the point. Have a take. Don't suck. But John, explain to everybody how Fans Forum works on this podcast.
Yeah, so this is your chance to get involved. You have a question or comment in the world of sports for Hacksaw, just drop your take in the live chat on YouTube, X, or on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum. Lee, there's going to be a lot of smack talking Padres-Dodgers series coming up.
Oh, for sure. If you like sports, I write about sports every day of the week. I am a multimedia guy. I want you to check my website. If you've never read what I write on my website, you're really missing out something. It's there every day. It's there first thing every morning. It's there for you to look when the podcast is done. Go check and see what I've written today. The best 15 minutes in sports, my one man's opinion column, etc. Just go to the website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com, and you can get on our email list, join Hacksaw's Insiders Group, just by filling out the orange box right there on the homepage. That's item 1. Item 2, you're on social media. I want you to be part of my Twitter All-Star team. I want you to go on social media on X, just write in my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button, then you can take part in all my mini polls and all the other things that I write on social media. Share, tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star rating. Follow, it really helps. And we want you to subscribe, notably on the YouTube channel, because when you do that, every time John and I put something additional up on the YouTube channel, you'll get ding, ding, ding. You'll get the alert, because we do that 7 to 10 times a week. We put a lot of extra stuff on the YouTube channel. So tons of ways to follow us. We're on 8 different social media platforms, in addition to our Monday and Thursday podcast. That's the business. Now let's talk sports, because we're going a lot of different directions, because there are a lot of late-breaking stories at this hour on a Thursday. John?
Yeah, that NL West race is tightening up right now. We got a big weekend coming.
I love rivalries. I love rivalry weekend. And there's not getting better than this. You got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, you got the fist fight for first place, you got the history, you got the tradition, you got the big brother up in LA, the little guy in San Diego, the odd good season the Padres have had against the Dodgers, the Dodger dominance for years and years, the evil empire with all of its money, slay the dragon philosophy and personality down here in San Diego. Damn, this is going to be great. So you got the Dodgers who are winning in Colorado. Padres just underway about trying to close out their series with San Francisco. So if it stays the way it is at this hour, the Dodgers have a 1-game lead over the Padres going into this 3-game series. Now, the Dodgers have beaten the Padres 8 of 10 this season. The Dodgers have won the last 5 series that they've played against the Padres dating back over a couple of years. I'm going to ask this question, John, so think about this while I run through these other angles to this rivalry. Do you think the Dodgers are inside the Padres' head? Do you think the Padres just are psyched out every time they see the color Pantone blue? Let's talk about that, because the Padres are 35-60 against the Dodgers since 2020, when these two teams got really good and both started to spend enormous amounts of money. But boy, there's some storylines here as it relates to Padre baseball. Nick is nails. What a job Pavetta's done this season. 13-4, and does he pitch lights out at Petco Park? O'Hearn, oh yeah, especially when he's hitting home runs at home. Ryan O'Hearn, nice acquisition. Holy sheets. Can you believe what that ex-White Sox outfielder has done when he's had the chance to play, and he's on a little bit of a hot binge right now. And Fernando, fabulous. Call the police. There's been another robbery in right field. Tatis keeps going over the fence to go get fly balls. Now, there are some glitches here with Padre baseball. I mean, it is stunning. Heading into this game today, Tatis had got 23 games, 111 plate appearances without a home run. He's not the same player right now. I maintain it's got to be the oblique injury. And I think there's a bigger question. This team is really deficient in the power department. Do you know, as of game time today, John, the Padres are ranked 29th out of 30 in home runs in Major League Baseball. So they're deficient in that area. And I guess the other burning question, as it relates to the Padres in the month of September, as it relates to the Padres and all things postseason, do you have confidence? Can you trust if your rotation has to include an up and down, hot and cold Dylan Cease, a not vintage Yu Darvish, the great mystery that is Michael King, and hoping that Randy Vasquez can give you more than 3 innings, quality innings, when he has to go with starts? I know about the gold standard bullpen and all that, and I know about Machado and all these other guys, but it doesn't seem at this hour that this team is all together right now. And of course, Jackson Merrill might be headed to the disabled list with a bone bruise now in his ankle. So we got a lot of things there as it relates to the Padres. As for the Dodgers, psyched out. Just a team that's in a little bit of disarray. I mean, is there any rationale to explain why the evil empire would lose 6 in a row to the Angels and the Rockies? Because that's what's happened over the last 2 weeks of Dodger baseball. Now, they're good. Ohtani, first outing ever in the thin air in Denver Coors Field, didn't have a good outing. Ohtani wound up going 4 innings, gave up 5 runs, gave up 9 hits, which just all out of sorts, wasn't getting the movement on the ball because it was at Coors Field. I don't know what they're going to do in right field. Teoscar Hernandez just looks awful in terms of reading fly balls, getting to fly balls, making decisions on where to throw, what base, etc. There had been one conversation this week about moving Mookie Betts off shortstop, putting him back where he had all the gold gloves in right field, but he's got a .984 fielding percentage at shortstop, and the Dodgers have elected just to leave him right there. I believe this team will hit. The question is, will this team have enough starting pitching? And how quickly can Max Muncy get back, the aftermath of the latest oblique injury? And there's been no sighting of Tommy Edman, who's got a chronic ankle, foot set of injuries. And they're not the same team without Edman, without Kiki Hernandez, etc. And now they got a deficiency with Teoscar in right field, and the left fielder, that's $17 million wasted with Michael Conforto. So as good as the Dodgers are not a complete team either. So, John, I've said a lot. But if you want to talk about Nick is nails, all the way down to tail, playing right field like there's landmines out there, go ahead. Padres, Dodgers, the podium is yours.
There are no complete teams in Major League Baseball. I mean, you always kind of hold that up as the standard, and every team falls short in some way. But as far as the Padres are concerned, how about bringing on Ryan O'Hearn, Gavin Sheets? They're producing, and Padre Twitter is going, see? We've been trying to tell you this for weeks. This Mike Schilt kept putting in a rise using Ryan O'Hearn, the ALDH All-Star, and kept him as a bench piece. And like, what the hell is that? And then you get Sheets in there, and he hit 2 bombs last night. I mean, you love to see it. And so if these guys can hit off lefties, I mean, imagine if O'Hearn and Sheets could be productive off of Clayton Kershaw. I mean, that changes the dynamics a lot, because then you're not rolling out Bryce Johnson or some weak right-handed hitter.
Yeah, but the only problem is you're waving this pennant right now. Sheets also had chunks of time where he did not hit. And O'Hearn was in and out of the lineup in Baltimore because he goes through chunks of time where he does not hit. So we're not talking about MVP-type all-star guys.
No.
But at the end of the day, they're better than what we've had recently, and this team is really deficient in the power department.
Because Arias always has these lazy, easy fly balls to shallow outfield, choppers to one of the middle infielders, and come on, we need some more production. As far as the Dodgers go, yeah, this Conforto thing is a disaster. I mean, he's not producing. And I think you're seeing with the Dodgers is that when it comes time to play the Padres are in the Dodgers' head, just like the Dodgers are in the Padres' head. And so the Dodgers bring their A game. We'll see the A game at Petco. But when they're at Coors Field, they're like, yeah, whatever. We got Ohtani pitch in. It's going to be fine. And it wasn't fine yet last night. So they sort of seem to be playing to their level of competition.
Dodger fan sent me an email through my website. Said, you know what this whole rivalry is all about? He said, I know you and your running mate are going to be jumping up and down talking about this game. The Dodgers are all about winning World Series games. The Padres are all about trying to beat the Dodgers, which they haven't done a hell of a lot in the last 5 years. As that made me want to go search out the one-loss record since 2020. Padres are 35-60 against the big brother.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And this year it's 8 out of 10, So if the Padres have any hope of being successful, it has to go through Chavez Ravine. They've got to beat the Dodgers.
Okay, so that's all things Padres and Dodgers. You're invited to jump on board. Feel free. Fans Forum chat box is open. Love this rivalry. It's so great, and it's so emotional. It's so different here at Petco Park than it is at Dodger Stadium. Dodger Stadium, where they show up late, they leave early, and occasionally they boo. This Padre venue, I mean, it is just flat out like an NFL football game, like a World Series game, whether it's in August or whether it's in September, and we got games of meaning. Let me give you one other sidebar Padre story that just broken within the hour. The Padres are changing their TV situation.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get to this. This is a bigger story, but I'll just give you the footnote on the Padres. Padres were victimized by the collapse of Bally Sports, the regional sports network. MLB took it over. Peter Seidler, out of desperation, gave the Padre TV rights for a reduced fee to MLB. MLB was going to try to start Team 30, where they wanted to bring everybody's TV rights in-house, and it didn't work. They only got 6 of them. Well, Padres TV, along with 5 other clubs, has now been transferred effective next season to ESPN. ESPN will take over the whole digitalization and distribution of those 6 teams. So the Padres, and it will be an additional fee, the Padres will be in some form of ESPN's direct programming to the people. More details, I'm sure, are coming. They're not making the kind of TV money they used to make. They made a lot of money, but it was overpriced, and that's why the regional sports networks collapsed. So keep an eye out. That story broke about an hour before we were coming on the air, that MLB has turned over the regional sports networks rights that they had. Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Twins, Cleveland, etc. They're going to ESPN, and they'll be on their direct-to-consumer package next season. I happen to think that MLB has done a really great job packaging the game broadcast with Don and Mud. I'd like to see more content added. They did not do that. Might have been a manpower problem. I think it was a lack of creative juice. They could do a lot more with that telecast than they currently do. But those guys can be wearing ESPN stuff next season rather than just Padres stuff next season on their shirt. So landscape's changed. So we get another change coming.
I want to see a good pregame, postgame show. Hey, maybe we could pitch our show. Maybe we can do the pregame for the Padres. What do you say?
Anything's possible. It'd be a hell of a lot better than it is right now. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's all things Padres baseball. We're not done. We got another big story that's breaking. Actually, 2 more big stories breaking in baseball.
So do you want to go to this realignment discussion?
Let's talk about realignment.
All right, I'll put it up on the board. I mean, this looks like a radical move, Lee.
That commissioner, before he exits, wants to make a radical change in Major League Baseball. Rob Manfred, in a speech in Atlanta, indicated that we are going to expand. Target date probably 2029. They will add 2 franchises. Now, we'll argue in the next 2 years who those franchises might be. Might it be Portland? Might it be Nashville? That's what most people think. You know, might it be Orlando? Might it be Charlotte? Might be a long shot. Nonetheless, Rob Manfred goes public and says there will be massive realignment when we do this. I want 8 divisions, 4 teams per division. And what he's talking about, in one sentence, he talked about dissolving the American and National League and just realigning geographically. You would have the Yankees and the Mets and the Phillies and the Red Sox that might make up an Eastern division. You could have a Western division geographically, would be the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants and maybe the Diamondbacks or maybe the Angels. But anyhow, this is one of the proposals that's out there right now. So if you just flash down, you can see each division. On the far right, it says National League Southwest. This proposal has got the Dodgers, the Padres, the Angels, and the Diamondbacks. Now, we're going to move some people around. One of the proposals is to take the Colorado Rockies out of the National League and put them over in the American League. Another proposal is to take Tampa Bay out of the American League and move them into the National League in their Southeast Division. So this is fascinating. I don't want to see them dissolve the American and National League. That's too radical for me because there's a lot of heritage that goes back a long, long period of time. But geographical realignment, it's in all the other sports, so maybe it makes a lot of sense. John, leave that board up there. Just what's your take on what Manfred is trying to do?
Well, first of all, the dissolving the AL, NL, it doesn't really bother me. It's like, do you really care? And in the NFL, if there's an AFC and an NFC and the heritage going back to the old AFL days and all that, it doesn't really matter anymore. So I like the geographic alignment. It's kind of weird now that the A's went from the Bay Area to Las Vegas. So they're not like really Northwest. They're really in the Southwest, but they got to stay in the Northwest. It's kind of wacky that way. But I mean, it makes sense from a travel perspective if you have a unbalanced schedule and you play more of your games against teams in your own division.
Aren't you going to get tired, though, of seeing the opponent more rather than what we have now, where we all get a taste of Cleveland or the Orioles or the Red Sox because everybody comes in or everybody goes there on a 2-year basis? You get to see everybody, whereas this, you'd be limited how many American League teams you would see in your stadium in a year.
Yeah. So it's interesting how they're going to do that, because from the player's perspective, you want to minimize the travel and the wear and tear on them, which I get. I totally get that. But it comes at the expense of us seeing, Padres Diamondbacks like 40 times in the season. And so I don't know how this will work, but I like the whole idea of let's talk about realignment. Let's find some new spots to place some teams. And this is probably going to have an impact on the playoff format.
In addition, this story broke just as I was coming on the air. My hair was on fire walking in the door. There was so much going on. As part of this, it leaked out today. Baseball's talking about going from 162 back to 154, which is the way it used to be for a long period of time. And that would guarantee probably everybody having a Monday off. I kind of like that idea, but the players really like that idea too. So this bears watching. And again, this came from Rob Manfred. This is not set in cement, but this is what they're thinking about. I don't want to see them dissolve. I'm sorry. I'm huge on history. Baseball's got the greatest history of sports of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
So why would we dissolve anything as it relates to the American National League that goes back into the early 1900s? Well, keep that.
But it used to be like the AL had the DH and the NL didn't. And then even the strike zones were different in the leagues, and they've normalized that.
And the umpires were different.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the difference now? The only thing that matters is history. And the history's great, and we can have the history in our museums and the Hall of Fame and in all of our books and everything. But man, this is 2025. We got to move forward, something more rational.
Do you agree with me? Do you agree with this guy broadcasting from left field, even though he's inside? Because I let him back in the building because it's 100 degrees outside in his driveway. So you want to dissolve the American and National League? Do you like this format, this way this thing has been proposed and structured? And I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement of teams from one division to another. I think this is what they're going to wind up. Some of this is predicated on who the expansion teams are, but like I've indicated, it sure looks like Portland, Nashville, one in the Mid-South, the other in the Northwest, are going to be the two expansion teams that baseball's going to seriously look at. So that's the latest there. Next baseball topic, after you jump on board and fans form in the chat box, we'll go back here and talk about a little bit more extensively about this TV deal.
Yeah, sounds really interesting, particularly for the Padres.
Well, at the end of the day, remember, ESPN in February walked away from the final couple of years of the Sunday Night Baseball contract. They wanted out. ESPN has undergone a tremendous metamorphosis with new leadership. You know, this is ESPN, which just weeks ago purchased the NFL Network and a ton of programming. This is ESPN that's about to launch ESPN direct to consumers, which give fans opportunities to subscribe what they want to subscribe to. Well, ESPN last night worked out a deal. Has not been signed, but it's about to be signed, in which they're going to get a new 3-year contract with MLB. Now, they're giving up Sunday Night Baseball because they opted out of the old contract. They're going to get a different night that's going to be their night. They'll have total control of everything on TV. Maybe it's going to be ESPN Monday Night Baseball in place of Sunday Night Baseball. But as a byproduct of that, they have also gotten access to distribute MLB Network. They're going to take over the MLB Network just like they took over the NFL Network. So, I mean, this is a big bonanza acquisition for ESPN. Their brand is going to be everywhere, and you're going to have to go through ESPN to watch whatever you wish to watch. And then, of course, they've bailed baseball out by taking over the 6 regional networks that collapsed, Padre Baseball included, and they're going to package that, and that'll be direct to consumer. You have to subscribe to it. We don't know any words about pricing yet, but you'll have access to that. Might be a higher price than you're currently paying, but it'll be a bonus if you're going to subscribe to Padre Baseball vis-a-vis on ESPN. You'll get probably discounted access to all the other things that are going to be on the direct to the consumer package that ESPN's offering. I mean, this is a complex mosaic to make all this come together. Landscape has really, really changed.
Yeah, but it's all in the positive direction, in my opinion, because you roll the clock back 40, 50 years. I mean, we barely got to see maybe a couple of games a month.
Game of the week on Saturday. That was it.
Yeah, it was Tony Kubek and Joe Garagiola, and maybe you get a little bit of your local team, like, every once in a while. Now it's like every day, and you can subscribe to any team, no matter where they're playing. And, there's different configurations here. But in this case, ESPN, if they're taking over the MLB network, they're taking over the regional broadcasting, they're taking over the NFL network. Is ESPN just providing the infrastructure to present it, or are they going to actually co-brand it with the MLB and NFL?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be branded with their people. Now, they may hire announcers and all that, but it's going to be the ESPN brand.
Interesting.
Yeah. So again, this is very much in its early stages. This story leaked out about an hour before I came over here, and I was in mad scramble mode to try to make sure I could get as much information as possible. So you're into this. You watch Padre Baseball, Dodger Baseball. This is what's going to happen effective. And it's only going to be for 3 years, 26, 27, and 28. Why? Because the collective bargaining agreement ends, and Rob Manfred's of the opinion he will have a whole new media deal like we've never, ever seen before, effective 2029.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything is changing so fast that, they're getting on the front end of it. Good for them.
Yeah, warp speed. So all things baseball, fans forum, chat box is open. Feel free, jump on board. Next topic on the table.
We're going to talk a little NFL. I mean, check out these teams. There's a lot going on.
We're talking a lot of NFL, not a little NFL. Let me run through the headlines here. We have talked extensively about the Cleveland Browns. First logo helmet there on the board. Much of the conversations had to do with the Browns have 5 quarterbacks, which means they don't have any quarterbacks. Well, now we're talking about what just happened off the field yesterday. The Ohio Department of Transportation stopped the progress to build a dome stadium in Brook Park, which is south of the city of Cleveland. There's been a war going on between city of Cleveland, its leadership, and Jim Haslam, the owner of the Browns, because he wants a dome stadium. He wants to leave downtown. He's got 3 years left on his contract, and the city says, no, we don't want you to leave. City and county had already offered a chunk of money to help renovate that stadium. Haslam wants his own stadium because he thinks he can build a dome stadium for $2.4 billion. Well, things were progressing. He had come up with most of the financing, and now the Ohio Department of Transportation threw a red flag and a roadblock. You can't build it in Brook Park. Why? Because it violates the height space because you're adjacent to the Cleveland airport. And the stadium is proposed to be built 80 feet below the surface in Brook Park, but yet the top of the stadium would raise 221 feet above ground, which is in the flight path of flights landing at that airport. So this thing has absolutely stalled, and I don't know whether Haslam and his people go back to the drawing table to see how can they configure the stadium so it has to be under 150 feet high. This is 221 feet, which is a huge violation as it relates to incoming flights. Interesting story there in Cleveland. Stay tuned for that. Second story, Kansas City Chiefs. Wow. Kansas City police confirming yesterday that gunshots were fired into the Kansas City practice facility late at night a year ago in May. Around midnight on May 4th, Andy Reid was in his office at midnight working, and bullets came through the window of his office and lodged in the wall. They also found bullets that were in another office and bullets that had hit an air conditioning unit atop the practice facility. Since that point in time, the Chiefs have confirmed they put in bulletproof windows everywhere around their facility. Police have no idea who, why, what triggered this. Errant shots at midnight. But Andy Reid was in his office, and a bullet went whizzing through the glass into the wall, like 8 feet from where he was sitting looking at video.
Raider fan?
Well, might have been drunk, that's for certain. So that's a really scary story there in Kansas City. LA Rams, Matthew Stafford goes 4 weeks without practicing, finally on the field this week, and he is practicing at full bore right now. This has been pretty impressive. He finally broke his silence. He said that he is stacking days upon days. He talked to the media just at noon today after this fourth day of practice in a row. He says, I'm just taking it day by day. I'm getting better day by day. I've had no setback with the disc issue since he spent 2 weeks in a hyperbaric chamber. That being said, and Sean McVay said this is a stud that's working out and everything looks good. But that being said, let's be realistic. He's not been hit yet, and he's not had to scramble for his life. He's not taken a quarterback sack yet. So we have to see how his back holds up if he gets to opening day. They, at this point, are still not saying he's going to be the opening day quarterback, but 4 days in a row, that's pretty good. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh refusing to answer any questions about the University of Michigan. That's his prerogative. He doesn't care. He's in the NFL. I think his resume, his portfolio is forever stained. However, they got some really interesting decisions to make. Mekhi Becton, the former New York Jet, Philadelphia Eagles, finally on the practice field. I saw a video of him. He is so big. I mean, they had worked really hard in Philadelphia to get his weight down. I swear to you, John, he looks like he's 6'6", 370.
Holy moly.
He looks massive. And obviously, he's missed all the practices. He's only doing 3-on-3 light pass blocking drills with another teammate or a trainer. He's doing no hardcore football-related stuff. I don't know if he's going to be ready to start the season, which further complicates all the problems they have in the offensive line. The other angle of the Chargers, this is going to be interesting. Trey Lance has kind of played himself into the backup role for the quarterback job behind the superstar quarterback. And the burning question with Trey Lance is erratic throwing the football in the preseason games, makes enough passes to keep drives going, but he's running all over the place. Is he more trustworthy right now, even though he's a little bit wild arm, or you better to stay with Taylor Heineke? So I don't know what the Chargers are going to do. They got one more preseason game against a crippled 49ers team, but Lance right now I think has positioned himself to be the backup quarterback because he's younger, and obviously he's got escapability there. Interesting story. Indianapolis, they got a problem now. They have a starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, the ex-New York Giant, who started 4 or 5 years with the Giants and was competitive, but got his brains beat out in a bad situation. Threw 70 touchdown passes, but threw a ton of interceptions and had a ton of fumbles and took 208 quarterback sacks. Daniel Jones is going to be the starter, and Anthony Richardson's agent says the trust with this club has been broken, and we may ask for a trade. Now, I don't know how marketable Anthony Richardson is. That was the number 1 pick. Colts are not going to get number 1 pick for this guy. They might get a 4th or a 5th with an upgrade if Anthony Richardson becomes somebody's starter. But right now, he's on the outside looking in, and he is not happy at all. New England Patriots, this is really interesting. The way they operated under Bill Belichick was hand over mouth. Right. You don't say anything about anything. Eli Wolf, the general manager this week, just said, we have $60 million cap space. We have multiple number 1s. We are willing to make trades right now. Okay. They are talking to the Cincinnati Bengals about defensive end Trey Hendrickson, who's on a brink of walking out of camp. Not willing to start the season because the Bengals are nickel and diming him on a contract extension that he probably deserves. New England's got to throw an additional player into the deal. New England's going to offer a number 1. I was told they may trade another former number 1, Kyle Duggar, safety, who hasn't fit in with what Mike Vrabel wants to do. So he might wind up going to Cincinnati. And the Patriots will get Trey Hendrickson, and they got all this cap space they could afford to give him a state-of-the-art contract. That's one trade. The other trade, this would be a mega deal. Can't believe Jerry Jones would consider this. But New England wants to talk to Dallas about Micah Parsons. Now, that trade might involve 2 number 1s and something else. Why would Jerry Jones trade the star of their defense because of an ego clash over player agents and contract extension? How do you trade a $40 million a year linebacker and rationalize that to anybody with the exception of, I'm Jerry Jones, I own the team, I can do anything I want? So, John, you got a lot to talk about here. I'm just going to kick back, have a cup of coffee, go outside, smoke a cigarette with Sniffer, the mascot, and you can just react to all the topics on the table, starting with the stadium. Cleveland. Yeah,
it's interesting, the stadium. I mean, because I just think about Shea Stadium and now Citi Field. That's right near the airport, isn't it? Yeah, so I guess that's not too much of a conflict.
Not in the flight path.
Not in the flight path. Okay. You think that would be an obvious thing that they would have discussed, early on. So once again, it's just the Browns just being the Browns on the whole thing. The Kansas City thing with Andy Reid, I mean, obviously terrible to have shots fired in your office, but it just goes to show you how hard it is to be an NFL coach. He's in there at midnight, reviewing film or talking to his assistants or something. I mean,
these guys sleep in their offices during the season. That's who they are.
I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it really is. Happy Matthew Stafford's looking good. This Trey Lance guy, maybe he could be fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter so much. I mean, if you don't have Justin Herbert, then so what? Either Heineke or Trey Lance will be serviceable. Yeah, the AR-15 thing with the Colts is interesting because in your best 15, you said that the agent was saying, oh, well, maybe we need to trade or maybe we need to go somewhere else, right?
The correct phrase was the trust has been broken. He's been there 2 years. He's been hurt a lot.
He hasn't earned the trust.
Well, he's a young guy, had to learn what it was to be a quarterback. When that means meetings and that means extra time in the film room and that means off-season workouts rather than going on vacation because I'm a number 1 pick. And he's played really poorly. But he's a great athlete. He was never, you and I talked about this. We first started this podcast a couple of years ago. We talked about when he was on the draft board that he was a phenomenal athlete, but he was nowhere near a finished product at the University of Florida. And that showed you can't have a starting quarterback in the NFL complete 47% of your passes.
No.
And that's what has happened to him in a year and a half. And he's been hurt 3 times too, because he runs the football too much.
Well, I mean, I was rooting for him. I like to see the young kids do well, but it is kind of a neat story that Daniel Jones gets kind of a second chance, So we'll see if he can prove himself because a lot of people doubted. I mean, he was a first-round pick out of Duke. I mean, how high in the draft did he go?
Yeah, but he went high, but that was a horrid situation with the Giants. I don't know that Indianapolis is a better situation, but He started and he played and he competed and he got his brains beat out. He took 208 sacks in 70 games.
Brains beaten out.
Yeah, so we'll see where the Colts go. I mean, Daniel Jones will be the starter, and we'll see what they do. I don't think I could give up on Anthony Richardson. You invested a high number one to get this guy. I just think you got to continue to develop him. And, Jones could get hurt. Or maybe, he holds the position for this year, and this is a redshirt year for AR-15, and Richardson becomes the guy. But I don't think you can give up on a number one, because I don't think his trade value out on the marketplace is very good.
And then, Jones could still self-implode and be the Jones that we saw in New York. So you got to keep both, and, hopefully you don't have to go to a second one.
Okay. So those hot topics on the table. You want to talk NFL football? Feel free. Is anybody here who got deported from Cleveland? Can you believe this stadium situation here? They got such a great situation in downtown Cleveland, and yet he wants to build in Brook Park in an industrial district because he thinks the Dome Stadium would be of great financial benefit to him.
It's interesting that you said that the stadium was partially submerged, and it makes me think of the Pit in Albuquerque,
Sure.
I wonder if they could do an NFL stadium fully submerged like that.
I don't think fully, but as I read, it's 80 feet down beneath the surface of the landscape at Brook Park, but yet it's still 221 feet above ground, which is too high in the flight path.
Interesting.
That's where we are. Hey, listen, we do sports talk the way it should be done on this podcast. We want you to join us shortly when we're done with Fans Forum. Podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you. John, fire up one of these videos, and then you tell us about the check marks that you have that makes Dixie Line Lumber such a special place for contractors, obviously. We all know about that, and homeowners.
Yeah, for homeowners, if you're going to redo your kitchen, redo your bath, you're going to need countertops, you're going to need cabinets, but you're going to need some consulting, some expertise that can help you map this out, and also has an eye for what looks good, and what kinds of products go with others. The Dixie Line team has a great staff of design consultants that do kitchen remodels, bath remodels, as well as doing doors, windows, outdoor decking. So if you're a homeowner, you want to do an upgrade of your home, Dixie Line's the place. If you're a builder or a contract building new homes or doing big remodels or additions, Dixie Line's your go-to guy. Lumber, building materials, and everything in the house.
Dixie Line Lumber. Go to DixieLine.com to see all the things they can offer to you. When we're done on this podcast, we put hot topics on the table. You take over this podcast. It calls Fans Forum. John, how does it work for all the new people that are joining us on the live stream?
Yeah, look at all these guys piling in. Angel and Greg and Ocean View Coffee Shop. We got Michael and Marcus and Bill and Normal Heights in here. Jay McGee. Who else is in there? I see the O-Siders, XX Revolution, Manny Fran. It's just tons of people in here. Tim Todd is in the list. So good to see you all, and thank you. We're going to try to get to as many of you as we can in Fans Forum. There's still a chance to get involved. Drop your take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, or on Facebook.
And give me a letter grade on my website. I write a ton every day. For a guy that's not supposed to be working, I'm really working a lot. If you like sports, because I cover everything, it's all written, you give me 5 minutes every morning, I'll give you the world. Check the website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. You can join my insiders group right there from my website. You'll get on my email list. You'll get 2 emails a day of different things that we're making available. Want you to share, tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Want you to subscribe. When you subscribe to the podcast, every time me or him, and we do it a lot, we put stuff up, a lot of different videos on the YouTube channel. You'll get the alert, ding, 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 when you subscribe on YouTube. Once you join my social media team, just follow me on X, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a follow. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. John, we're ready for the second half because we're not done.
College football is getting started here as well, and Texas is the preseason number 1. What do you think of that?
All right, let's flash this up here. So the Associated Press preseason poll is out, and I'm saying this is kind of like the year of the quarterback, but this is a really strange year of the quarterback in college football. Texas is number 1, and they got Arch Manning as the starter in place of the departed Quinn Ewers. That's a really good program. They put a ton of guys in the National Football League this past offseason. Steve Sarkisian is a mad scientist as a head coach. This is really going to be fun to see how Arch Manning does. Penn State is different than the rest of the world. Their kids don't leave, don't transfer. Hardly any of them go to the NFL early. They got Drew Allar back as their starting quarterback. They got maybe the running back of the year in Nick Singleton. Penn State is ranked number 2 in the country. The third one is Ohio State, the factory, which sends a ton of guys to the NFL every year. They're going with a Carlsbad starter, Julian Sayin, who's only played one game, went 5 for 12 last year in mop-up duty. He is going to be the starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. The fourth one is Clemson. This guy might be the Heisman Trophy hottest candidate, Cade Klubnik. He's a third-year starter, and he's not a senior at Clemson, and he makes a lot of things happen. Notre Dame lost a ton of people. Notre Dame's got a pretty good coaching staff, and Notre Dame's got a new quarterback, C.J. Carr. He's hardly ever played. He is going to be the starter for Notre Dame, ranked 6th. Georgia is in there at number 5. Georgia's got a new quarterback because their quarterback transferred. Carson Beck went to Miami. Number 7, Oregon. Unbelievable amount of talent they got up there for Dan Lanning. But they got a quarterback that's never been to war. Dante Moore, he's the kid that was at UCLA and jumped. Dante Moore is the starting quarterback at Oregon. Alabama's the strangest mix at all. I'm stunned. As badly as they were the back half of last season, I'm stunned they're inside the top 10. Alabama is going to start a third-year backup quarterback who's hardly played. His name is Tyler Simpson. So, they were not happy with Karen DeBoer, the head coach, at the end of last season. And they don't have a blue-chip recruited quarterback. They're starting a guy that was a backup quarterback for a couple years in a row. That one is kind of strange. LSU got another Heisman candidate, put up great numbers last year, and Garrett Nussmeier, he'll be their starting quarterback. Miami, of course, has got Carson Beck. They, of course, are preseason ranked number 10. The one that's the most intriguing to me is Arizona State. Phenomenal season last year. Everybody's so excited, but they don't have their star running back who's gone to the National Football League, Cam Scatterbo. And they lost some defensive people. But they do have Sam Levitt, who threw the hell out of the ball, and they got a bunch of wide receivers. So that's going to be fun to see what Arizona State does. A couple of other brief ones, a little bit further down. South Carolina. This might be the third candidate for the Heisman to keep an eye on. This guy threw the ball and scrambles a lot. His name is Lenore Seller. Michigan, a little bit farther down the board. Michigan's got a freshman quarterback. They won a bitter recruiting war, paid a big NIL price to get Bryce Underwood. He is going to be the starter. Florida's got a good quarterback, DJ Lagway. He's had injury histories. Oklahoma's got a unique quarterback, Johnny Mateer, the transfer who came from Washington State. And then there's Boise State. They got Maddox Madsen back as a second-year starter. Now, of course, there is no Ashton Genty there. So this is a phenomenal year of college quarterbacks, John, but there's a mixed bag of college quarterbacks, some proven, and a bunch of blue-chip kids have never, ever done it, going to get their chance. So what do you think?
I'm curious to see this Arch Manning kid because, obviously he's got the name, but let's just see how legit he is. So he's a curiosity for me. I love this Julian Sayin guy coming out of Carlsbad, and he's young, and I'm just thinking, man, if he's successful, can you imagine the logos, the shirts, it'll be like just saying, it's going to be kind of cool. And when I look at these top 10, top 25 lists, I'm always interested in, is there a group of 5 team anywhere in there? And Boise State, kind of the caboose of the list at 25, we're seeing more and more separation of the big boys and the little boys.
Exactly. College football kind of kicks into gear next week, and there's some really great early season matchups. This Texas, Ohio State out of the gate. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first item in college football we're going to talk about, because the second item, he and I might start arguing with each other. Here comes the second item, and this is all about college football, playoffs, and changes coming.
Playoffs? You talking about playoffs?
So we're at 12 teams right now. Part of me says it's great. They open it up. More teams have access. Other part of me says that means more blowout games. Third part of me says I'm really concerned about the future and the health of bowl games. Well, this is the latest. The Big Ten and the SEC, who are the power brokers now in college football, are negotiating the expansion. They are talking about going from 12 to 28. 28 teams. As a byproduct for that, they're also talking about guaranteed slots. The Big Ten would get 7 guaranteed slots of the 28. The SEC would get 7. So that's 14 spots would go to 2 conferences. The ACC and the Big 12, they'd get 5 each. So that's 10 more slots gone by the door. There'd be only 4 other bids left. The 4 other bids left might be for Pac-12, might be for the AAC, might be for if there's somebody really unique from the group of 5. At the end of the day, the big boys are going to get all the slots, and the big boys are going to get all the money, and the big boys are going to get the great opportunity. My burning question to you, does this destroy the bowls, lock, stock, and barrel? If you're taking 28 teams off the top of the list, who's going to be left of note, of interest to play in the Holiday Bowl and all the other bowls? Or my theory was make the bowls part of the first round matchups. They're not going to do that. They like this playing on somebody's home turf, home field advantage. So that's where this whole situation is right now. I just don't like it.
You're so old school.
Thank you.
Now, I like the idea of an expanded playoff. I just don't like the idea that the SEC and the Big Ten get to, get guaranteed half the slots.
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't seem fair at all, and especially if they claim to be the great conferences that they are, then they could probably legitimately say they deserve more. So just let the playing happen on the field and they'll qualify. Just follow the way the NCAA does it for basketball. So you get conference winners that qualify, and then you get a bunch of at-large teams, and the SEC and Big Ten would still get at least a third of them.
Yeah. One of the other byproducts is they're going to do away with the conference championship games, which that was formulated to be a money maker and something on TV. I don't think it's turned out to be as sexy as anybody ever thought it would be.
Well, then some conferences have the championship, some don't. It's inconsistent. So I don't know. It's just weird though. It's kind of like imagining in the NFL that the AFC West took over the playoffs and said, we're going to get half the slots and we're going to divvy up the rest amongst the other divisions. That's what this is like.
Yeah. I don't know where it's going to go, but nobody's got the power now because the power has been vested in the Big Ten and the SEC. They're the ones that are calling all the shots. Into college football, like or dislike, you're throwing your arms up or you say, oh, that's okay. We'll get to see the best and we'll watch a championship game and screw the rest of them. Feel free to join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. We're going from all things football. We'll talk a little WNBA.
Yeah, the WNBA, a lot of injuries on the court.
Boy, this is really bad. The Indiana Fever have been destroyed by injuries. They've just lost Sophie Cunningham, who had really taken on star status because of her style and because of her mouth. Sophie Cunningham is gone, a blown-out knee. They have now lost 4 guards, including Caitlin Clark, who is yet to come back. Caitlin Clark has had 3 different groin injuries this season. Indiana is just desperate. They're down 4 guards. There have been 11 players in the WNBA in the last month who've gone down with major knee injuries. So it's really, really been a tough tour for them. The other thing in the WNBA, I don't know if you saw this, Paige Bueckers from UConn.
Oh, yeah.
44 points.
It's Dallas, right?
Record for Dallas and WNBA. 44 points.
Hell yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing. I mean, the quality of play is really good, but the TV ratings have been cut in half because there's been no Caitlin Clark for the last 3 weeks.
Well, I'm sure the fans are going to wake up to the fact that, you got Paige Bueckers, you got Angel Reese, you got a lot of other stars in this league. They've got to be able, the league needs to be more than just Caitlin Clark. But, if you look at this, the whole Sophie Cunningham thing, I saw the hit. It was a little bit dirty, a little bit not, But I'll say this, my daughter tore both of her ACLs playing high school basketball. And I remember the doctor said that women are more susceptible to ACL tears than men are. just because of the physiology and the hips and everything else, the way they're connected. So it's a shame. But remember, we saw that. What was the player? Was it Juju Watkins for USC? She blew out her knee as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, I love seeing these female athletes just playing tough, playing hard. But yeah, it's got to be a bummer if you're an Indiana Fever fan.
I mean, there's so many quality players who've gone down with injuries. I mean, name players, and most of them in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all things basketball. Feel free to jump on board. We're going to do something different. Trust me, I am the only one that I know in this market that talks soccer, knows soccer, covers soccer on a consistent basis. I'm not talking about just one or two teams here. I'm talking about the big picture of soccer. We have talked extensively about Team USA, the leadership, the players, the controversy with the Gold Cup, the rip job by the former players. Today, a response, a really strong response involving Christian Pulisic. Pop this one up here. So, Christian Pulisic and a whole number of other guys were granted time off for the entire summer by Mauricio Pochettino, the new head coach of Team USA, just because of the wear and tear demands. That brought on enormous criticism from former Team USA players, great ones, Landon Donovan, Alexi Lawless, Tim Howard, Clint Dempsey. I mean, the rip job, the criticism of Pulisic more than anything else was just way over the line. Well, Pulisic responded and said, this is all cheap. Last weekend, he said, this is so unfair. These guys are doing this because they're now media stars, and all they're trying to do is get media clicks. Watch me, listen to me, follow me, click here, subscribe to me. Well, today, the coaches who have worked with Pulisic stood up and sounded off. And this is what these coaches have said. Former USA coach Bruce Arena, I don't buy it. He meant the criticism of Pulisic. He says Euro players get badly fatigued. They need breaks. And this is a guy who spent his whole life in coaching. Second one, Dave, former interim head coach for Team USA. I know that Pulisic prioritizes club football over anything else, but he loves his country. And I also know that AC Milan demands unbelievable minutes that he plays every game, every match, and all the special tournaments. His more recent coach, Greg Berhalter, says this is nonsense. This guy is fearless. His patriotic zeal is the cornerstone of who Christian Pulisic is. Legendary European and USA coach of the past, Jurgen Klinsmann. Former players, like those guys who criticized him, all did the same thing. They took time off. And then Pulisic came back and said, you can come after my performance in some of these games. You can't come after my commitment. I train like it's game-like intensity. So a lot of people rallying to the support Christian Pulisic, who's obviously the Captain America of Team USA. It's interesting, though, as this thing has mounted and mounted, nobody said anything in his defense. Then he stood up. He said something in a week's time. All these other guys, his coaches from all these different levels, starting from age 18 to where he is now at age 25 or 26, have defended him. Corner kick me a reaction.
Well, don't you think that the scheduling demands of modern soccer players are different than they were 20 years ago?
Different than they were 10 years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pulisic has a legitimate, a case to be made that dude needs a little bit of time off. So, I don't know. It seems like again, this is like their dirty laundry, and this should all be done behind closed doors. It shouldn't be out in public, which is kind of a shame. And by the way, it's a little bit of a tangent, but I saw Bruce Arena over the weekend. He was coaching against San Diego FC because he's the San Jose Earthquakes coach. Mm-hmm. That dude looked like a bum on the sidelines.
He's different.
Yeah, his hair was just all over the place, and he's kind of wearing a sloppy T-shirt. And I was thinking, man, that's the former national coach.
That's the Bill Belichick of soccer.
Totally, it's a good comparison, Bruce Arena.
He's a really good guy, but he's really offbeat. I've interviewed him 2 or 3 different times, and I always got along well with him. And he bounced around. He had a marquee job, and then it went away from him. But he wound up in the league, and he was MLS. He's been with multiple teams. He's really unique. He's not media. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not media slick. He's not quotable, but But he does look like Bill Belichick right now. I agree with you.
Yeah, it kind of does. But and also I love the whole Captain America nickname for Pulisic.
Yes.
I think it's perfect. And you just don't want Captain America being attacked, by the media, because dude's a good guy.
Maybe it's going to unify everybody on Team USA. And like I said, when Pochettino put all these kids on the field during the Gold Cup and in the friendlies leading up to the Gold Cup, they didn't play well. He said, holy cow, what if they go 0-3 in the Gold Cup and get blown out? And look what happened. They played pretty well, and they beat some people along the way. And all of a sudden, collectively, a bunch of kids thought the light bulb switch went on, and they can play at this level.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna take the Tillmans and these other young guys, young Berhalter, et cetera. You're gonna take them and you're gonna bring them to camp with Pulisic and the veterans who now come back when the window opens for practice, and they get to play. They're gonna play 2 friendlies in September. I think one against Japan, one against South Korea. So we'll see now with the veteran group being joined by the young guys who learned on the job during the Gold Cup, and I thought accounted well for themselves. That'd be interesting to see. So you're a soccer fan. Corner kick us an opinion, a comment, a question, a statement. Join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. Last topic on the table before the fans take over the podcast. John, where do you want to go?
Yeah, we always wrap up with the high-speed sports wire. Here we go.
Let's talk about the PGA Tour. First round of the final tournament of the regular season is underway. And this is called the Tour Championships, East Lake in Georgia. Scotty Scheffler, has got 9 wins last year, 5 wins this year, has really dominated of late. Late in the first round, though, a guy who has scuffled all year, kind of lost his way. We thought he was going to be a star, a superstar a couple of years ago. Justin Thomas had the lead late in the first round with 7 under. The Scottish player, Robert McIntyre, who's played at the top of the leaderboards the last group of tournaments, he's in second spot. He was 6 under with a couple of holes to go. Rory McIlroy, who has been in and out, hasn't been the same player since he won the Masters. He's at 3 under, along with Scheffler, who had a slow start. But what Scheffler's done is Scheffler's gotten the lay of the land in each of the last group of tournaments. And it's like he's thrown his own light switch on come Friday, come Saturday, come Sunday, and it just stormed to victory. So this is really going to be fun to see what happens at the Tour Championships. $10 million payday to the winner.
Okay.
This is the all-time finale for the guys on the PGA Tour. So that's one topic. Second topic, the PGA Tour. This story has not got a lot of play yet. This story should get a lot of play. The incoming commissioner of the PGA yesterday appointed Tiger Woods as the chairman of what's called the Futures Committee. Tiger Woods and 8 other golfers and some businessmen will chart the future of what the tour should be. They want to evaluate the tradition of the PGA Tour, the courses, the events, the Grand Slams, etc. They're also going to evaluate rules, playing conditions, and membership. And membership is really important. And the bottom line is they're going to give Tiger Woods a clean piece of paper and say, you and your committee, the Futures Committee, you tell us what you think the PGA should be. Because the money has gone up for everybody. They've developed their next group of stars because so many guys defected and went across the street to LIV. And missing from the conversation about what Tiger is going to do, no conversation about the LIV. The report is the LIV weeks ago made another offer to the PGA, or we'll give you the public investment fund money, but we want you to allow us to continue to operate our tour in Europe the way we want to operate it. Team competition, not medal play, etc. PGA turned them down. So I think it's a sense to me we're farther away from a merger to bring the Dustin Johnsons and the John Rahms and the Phil Mickelsons back. We're farther away than we were before because initially it seemed like, okay, they've come to an agreement on how they're going to operate under the PGA banner and who's going to run what tournaments, etc. And the only thing that had to be negotiated would be how we let these guys back. Do they pay a penalty to come back? Do they have to pay money to re-enter because they left on such bad terms because they violated their tour card when they took the money and ran? That was the one thing we thought was holding us up. Now it's this. The LIV wants to continue to operate as a separate tournament entity in Europe while still being a member of the PGA. And the PGA says no. So Tiger's been given his marching orders with a clean piece of paper. Consider what changes we could make to make this tour with our players a better event. And I think this is all driven towards the next TV media contract and how they can grow the sport with this next wave of stars if we have to go without those guys who went across the pond to LIV and took the blood money. That's controversial, but that's where we are. NASCAR. We've talked about this. I'll admit, I'm a redneck in a closet. I watch a lot of NASCAR. I know the storylines. This lawsuit over charters, this has gone back and forth, back and forth. You have to have a charter to run NASCAR. Michael Jordan's 23X team and Front Row Racing sued NASCAR. They said this is a monopoly. This is an antitrust violation. They're forcing all these rules down our throat, and we can't make enough money because they're taking all the money in on corporate sponsorships. If you get a charter, you get a chunk of revenue share from sponsorships through NASCAR. All these other teams have signed those charters. Michael Jordan sued, said antitrust violation. Judges have changed their mind. Judges ordered NASCAR, let these guys compete. Another judge said you have to give them charter rights, which meant you're sharing money. Third judge came back and said they never paid for the charter. They don't have a right to have a charter to race. They can race as open entries. And now NASCAR this week filed another suit against Michael Jordan and Front Row Racing, saying the last judge ruled you don't have a right to have this charter. We want all the revenue sharing money we gave you in sponsorship. We want that returned by October 1st.
Whoa.
So in other words, these guys now are at risk of losing all the revenue share. They get their prize money. If they win a race, they get their prize money, like an independent contractor. But now NASCAR says the judges, through 3 sets of levels of layers of decisions, have now ruled you're not entitled to the monster amount of corporate sponsor revenue sharing money that we give to everybody who has a charter. You don't have a charter. You're an independent. Give that money back.
Well, they've already spent it.
They got to come up with it. So this story, never ending. Last story involves the flag of Mexico. This is a disgrace. The deportation and the imprisonment of champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. His father was an icon boxer, just phenomenal, maybe the greatest boxer of all time out of Mexico. His son is a sleazebag. He might be a good boxer. He may have won 2 different titles in 2 different weight classes. But the U.S. government, the Mexican government, have cited him for being a guy intricately involved with the drug cartels, dealing drugs across the border here in the States, and running guns. He was deported this week, flown. He's in a prison in Hermosillo, Mexico right now. Just an utter awful story. But when you make choices like that, there can be bad consequences, and Julio Cesar Chavez is in prison in Hermosillo.
Wow.
Amazing. Like I said, there's so many stories breaking this week. It's just crazy. Go ahead, John. Talk about the PGA Tour. Talk about the LIV. You can admit to being a redneck with me. We'll sit at the bar and tip a cold one and watch the next NASCAR race. Go ahead.
Okay, so I need a little bit of clarification here. So this is the Tour Championship that we're talking about
This
here.
is the $10 million finale to the FedEx playoffs. Yes.
Okay, so remember there was always the Players Championship and there was the PGA Championship. Are those 3 separate events?
Yes, those are events. But this is the true big money championship.
So is this new?
No, this has been there for a couple of years. They've changed the structure of it. But it's only 30 golfers. It's the top 30 guys who qualified. You play all year. If you win a tournament, you get in. If you're a top money winner, you still get in. But there's only 30 guys, not 156.
Now, the PGA Championship and the Players Championship, those are separate?
Separate tournaments.
So which one of those is sort of like the unofficial 5th Grand Slam?
The PGA Championships.
That's the one. Okay.
But a lot of people don't view it as that because it doesn't have history and legacy. It's not played at the same course. It moves all over the place. That's one of the things that Tiger Woods and the committee, the Futures Committee, might examine. Might we name more permanent Grand Slams at fixed locations, or would we just do away with the Grand Slam recognition?
Interesting. I like having certain courses that, are it's like going to a church, like
That's
going to Augusta or something like that. And there's a number of other courses around America they could do that. So yeah, good on Tiger Woods. Hopefully he can figure it out. He seems like the right guy for the job.
Sure.
He's not going to get distracted by all the things he's been distracted with the last 10 or so years.
Well, he's hardly played. I mean, his career is over by virtue of every type of surgery he has had. And this is the next thing. Next thing I'm expecting, I expect him on TV. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So what do you think about the LIV mess?
Well, that was my other question to you, was because we've talked about a lot of different merger scenarios, going back a few years. And one of them was that Live Golf would actually run the European tournament or the European circuit or whatever you want to call it.
Marketing and all that. But it would be under the PGA banner, which means you'd play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You would not play 54 holes and this team concept. No one gives a crap about team golf. And the LIV wants to continue to play LIV golf under the PGA banner, and PGA turned down their last proposal, said no.
I kind of get the idea of why they want to have team golf, because all the other sports have teams, and every team has a brand.
But
and
you got the Ryder Cup and you got the President's Cup. That is team golf.
That's national team stuff, but I don't disagree with the idea of having team golf in the PGA. It's just right now, it just seems like they're just throwing certain guys together, or I don't know how they've configured those teams. That to me is a little bit of a mystery. I don't know. I'm not so worried about it. If the tournament circuit in Europe is a different configuration, it's fine. I just don't know how you normalize the point system so that when you have to qualify for one of the majors, who gets in.
Well, the guys in LIV don't qualify because they're not members of the PGA Tour.
Yeah. Now, that's something for Woods to fix for sure.
But they told him, you're not going to be involved with LIV. You deal with the PGA Tour and our stars and the future stars.
That's the reality that exists now.
Yeah. I mean, the divide to me is farther now than it's probably ever been in 3 years.
But you still have some of those Live Golf guys that want to come back, right? Was it Brooks Koepka? Wasn't he the one?
They were dropping hints, but there's no way for them to come back because they violated their tour card. They're not letting them back in free of charge without a sanction, a penalty, a whatever.
Well, they got to win the $10 million this weekend, so you have money to get back in.
Okay, those are topics on the table. I warned you at the front end of this. We do sports talk the way it should be done. Now it's your turn. If this was Sports Talk Radio, I'd say get off your ass and get on the phone. But instead, I'm looking for you to join us now on the Fans Forum chat box. This podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you across San Diego, and the new one up in Dana Point. You got projects, they got materials. You want ideas, they can be your best friend. What I'd recommend, just go to DixieLine.com, see all the things they have to offer. John, ready, set, go.
Set, go. Let's go to our friend, the O-Siders, to kick us off today. And we're going to talk some Aztec football. He says, Kristen Chapman holds the San Diego State record for the most wins with 24. Then Lindley with 23, Santos with 22. Not to mention, he won the Mountain West Championship and also beat Josh Allen. Don't leave him off your list next time, LOL.
Well, he threw 39 touchdown passes in a pretty good career, but that was a career in which they ran the football and played unbelievable defense. He was a good, solid, trustworthy quarterback, but was he a star? Did he get any type of Mountain West recognition? And I'm not demeaning him because he had a nice career and he stayed at home and has become, he's a coach. So, but in terms of legendary mad throwers, San Diego State's had a history of great down the field quarterbacks, and we've not had that in a long period of time since Ryan Lilly and since Kevin O'Connell. So nothing against Christian Chapman. This doesn't sound positive, but it's true. He was a game manager. I thought he was very responsible. He did not turn the football over, but that was a different type of quarterback than we've been accustomed to see. Make sense?
It does. I mean, I just remember that era where he was the quarterback, like it seemed like forever, because I think he played 4 years. And yeah, he was just solid. He get the job done. He wasn't trying to be the hero, but he could pass. He could distribute the ball. The offense moved down the field back in the Christian Chapman area. So yeah, you should have had him on your list.
Oh, geez. Now you're piling on. Okay. Thank you for the input. You're an Aztec fan. You continue. By the way, you didn't tell us which logo you like. We popped that up last week. I was hoping we'd get some people respond. Which Aztec logo did you like on the helmets? Okay, we move on.
And let's talk a little MLB expansion with Callan. Because afternoon, gents, if you're the king of MLB, where are you putting the next two teams and why?
Well, it just depends where they're located. I mean, most of this is geographically driven, Callum. But the general consensus is Nashville has done a lot of groundwork. That's a Mid-South team. So that's maybe in somebody's Southeast division. And the other one is Portland, which seems to be growing, although that's a smaller market size. But if it's Portland, then they wind up in the Northwest with whomever, is the Northwest that involve the Athletics probably. And who else is going to go in that division? Does Arizona go there? Is that a San Francisco Giant go to the Northwest? It's going to be really interesting. That's why when we popped up that board, it's just kind of, it's interesting to see who is located where. But the general consensus is they're theorizing Portland is going to be one, and then probably Nashville would be the other. So Portland would wind up in the National League Northwest. Is that what I'm looking at? Yeah. Okay, and then American League Southeast would be Nashville. So that's where it is right now. Again, it's all going to be geographically driven. If it's I don't think they'd put two franchises from the South in. I don't think they'd go Nashville, Charlotte. So we got years to sort it out, but this is what the commissioner is theorizing is going to happen.
Yeah, it seems to me that, the geography is nice if it can all fit together, but it shouldn't be the primary. It should be market size and how organized, the money people are behind the franchise fee and building the stadium and getting all that organized. But I mean, we've talked about Nashville, we talked about Portland, we've talked about Montreal. I mean, what are the other teams that are sort of being discussed?
Charlotte and Orlando.
But
that they're not going to take two South teams.
No, yeah, probably not. But I'll tell you what, when you see the map with all the logos, like where they're positioned, there is a lot of empty space in the Southeast.
Sure. And
there's a lot more growth going on down there. I'm sure that's why Orlando is being considered too.
You don't like history. I don't know why the hell you like me. You don't like history. I'm historical.
No, I like history, but I think history has its place and we shouldn't get too stuck on it.
This guy wants to get rid of the American and National League designations.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's like the NBA or the NFL. I mean, we don't care about the NFC and the AFC.
No, but this is baseball history, goes back to the 1900s.
Right. Yeah. So you can read about that in, your Bill James, or not Bill James. What's the guy that does the PBS?
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns. Yeah, I made that mistake last time. Ken Burns. In his movies, you'll see American League, National League. We'll see it in the record books, but.
Okay. He and I disagree on this, so I'm not buying him beer. Go ahead, next one.
Okay, let's keep on trucking, and we will go up the list. Okay, let's go to John. He's having a tough day. He says, juggling the attention span today, Padre Giants on TV, Nats Mets on the phone, and the podcast on the laptop. Timing.
Well, sorry, it all runs together, but that, technology allows you to, what's the correct term? Multitask?
Yeah.
Jeez. You do that, he's probably going to have a headache by 4:00 this afternoon. I have a tough time. I try to do split screens on TV, try to watch two different games, and my eyeballs fall out of my head. It's so hard to watch and pay attention to two things, and he's trying to do three things at once.
Well, we're streaming the Padre game right here. So, well, actually, I just hit the volume button.
So what is the score?
It's 4-2 Padres. Right?
Okay.
So they caught up. They made some bad errors early in the game. Yeah, I think it's cool that we can do this. One of my buddies up in San Francisco, he has two televisions in his living room, and he has the volume on both of them.
Oh.
And he has trained his ears to focus on one or the other. But he definitely has one slightly louder than the other. But I mean, I don't know how in the hell he does that, but he gets to watch multiple games. It's like he in a sports book in Vegas.
I can't do two things at once, and these guys doing 3 and 4 simultaneously. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
Thanks,
for him.
John, have yourself a great day. Take 2 Tylenol. Call me in the morning.
Okay. Go to Casey. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, what do you think about the division realignment rumors in Major League Baseball? I'm all for expansion, but I hope they don't have the Dodgers and Giants in separate divisions. Your thoughts?
That's a very valid point. There's an awful lot of tradition. Dodgers, Giants, Dodgers, Padres, and then where does Arizona fit into this whole thing? I don't know what the solution is. You're not going to leave the Angels out because that's Southern California. It's going to have a geographic twinge to it. So tough call. I would much rather see, dumbass doesn't care about history, Dodgers, Giants, Padres, and then Angels because of the geographic link. Then you take Arizona and you put Arizona maybe with something with Texas, because that's Southwest. Arizona, Texas,
Big
Houston.
12, right? So they naturally go together, Arizona and Texas.
Yeah. Or do you do Arizona, Colorado, Athletics? But that wouldn't fit because you got Portland and Seattle. So if you start moving too many things around, then all the dominoes fall down.
Well, Seattle is the weird oddball. I mean, it's way out there, I mean, those guys travel a ton.
Yeah. And so Seattle's got to be right next door to Portland. So they got to be in the same division.
Yeah.
And the Athletics are just,
Well, the Athletics naturally would fit, Northwest, but now they're in the Southwest.
But then what do you do with Colorado and Arizona? Where do the Giants fit into all this?
I know, because to Casey's point, you need the Giants and the Dodgers in the same division because of history. Okay, I'll give you that. But, I've seen one of the configurations, Colorado and the Kansas City Royals kind of together. That's not too, generally speaking, not that far apart.
Well, it's Midlands, Rocky Mountain. I buy that.
Yeah, Great Plains division or something. So they'll come up with something. The interesting thing about Portland, if they got a team, is that they would be they only have one other professional team there, right? The Trailblazers.
Yes.
Okay, so I was trying to think if that would be similar to the Padres, but it's not. They'd at least have two sports.
They got 3 Oregon Ducks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that counts too. Okay.
That's almost Major League too. Thanks for the comment, Casey. It's going to be fun to argue and debate this, but I'm right. He's wrong.
Okay. Hey, from Tim Todd, happy belated birthday, Lee.
Thank you. I never pay attention to dates. I swear, this is the honest to goodness truth. You could call my wife. I woke up, I totally forgot it was my birthday. Totally. Now I can tell you what day of the week it is. Yesterday was Wednesday, today's Thursday, tomorrow is getting ready for Friday. But I am a zero with dates. I just forget birthdays and anniversaries.
Okay.
Yeah, have I ever told you the story about my anniversary?
Tell it.
Oh, this is great. I'm experienced at this because it's happened about 6 times now. So,
6?
Yeah, 6. I forgot my anniversary.
No,
6
that's
times.
not good.
Well, you think? So, at the breakfast table one morning, and my whole morning it's regimented. I get up and I go do my fitness stuff, and I come back and I eat breakfast after a shower, and I like to peruse the newspaper, or I do this with the phone. And she's looking at me and she says, "You know what day it is?" And I said, "Yeah, it's Wednesday." "You know what day it is?" I said, "Yeah, it's Wednesday." "Do you know what day it is?" "Well, you're the smart one. You got the iPhone. Look it up." I don't know what date it is. It was her anniversary. She said, "Yeah, September 18th. It's our anniversary." And it wouldn't have been a problem, except that's like the 6th time it's happened.
Well, I figure your hard disk is full. I mean, you got all that sports knowledge in there.
I was working 9 days a week when I was doing sports talk radio and play-by-play. I mean, I couldn't remember anything. I'd meet myself coming and going in the airport. But Tim used to work with the Chargers, and we had a great working relationship and all that. And, I was constantly in the airport coming and going, and just absolutely amazing. So yeah, there's a lot of information stored up here that kind of gets convoluted and conflicted.
So what is it? You're 29 and holding?
I stopped counting a long time ago.
Okay. Okay, let's keep moving. We'll go here to Greg. Hey, pulling for the Padres long term, but Dodgers -1.5 was such an easy betting pick today that I couldn't resist.
I think the burning question I have is, the Dodgers do get amped when they play these guys, but these guys at home play really well. I mean, this Friars team now, it's got some leakage right now on the starting staff, and that's a big issue. But the Dodgers got problems. That bullpen is just a disaster. Can you trust that bullpen? The one thing we're seeing in the last week and a half is Dave Roberts he's starting to get really antsy in that dugout. He comes out of the dugout and he's pulling those starters out of there, and he's pulling those relievers out of there if they're not getting the outs. But you can only do that if you've got reliable guys to come in. Well, the Padres got a 6-pack of guys sitting out there. The Dodgers, you just never know what to trust. So it's going to be interesting. But at the end of the day, Dodger fan who emailed me said, Dodgers are all about winning World Series games. Padres are all about trying to win against the Dodgers. 35-60. That's the composite record. The Dodgers have beaten the Padres 60 of the 95 times they've played since 2020. So scoreboard does not lie.
Oh, it's so horribly lopsided. I mean, that's why Padre fans get so fired up. It's like, like slay the dragon, just like Peter Seiler said. Interesting there with Greg talking about making bets. I'm assuming he's probably making online bets. He's probably not in Vegas doing it. So it just goes to show you how gambling and sports are all kind of merged together.
Oh, yeah, they're linked.
And this is how we create a lot more fandom. And, just got to make sure we keep the boys on the field, honest and doing the right thing. And I think it's good for the sport. It's good for everybody.
Okay. That's going to be a great series. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is going to be phenomenal, whether you're a Padre fan, Dodger fan, or in my case, just a baseball fan. I was so amped to see the Padres played the Dodgers last week, and I was so deflated that the games were so bad.
It was so brutal. You get so fired up and excited for it. And then, so again, we're going to go through it a second time. We're probably going to get burned again.
Well, you're such a Padre honk.
Well, right now the Padres are up 6-2.
But that's who they're playing.
Well, still, I mean, you got to have some momentum rolling in against playing against LA.
Okay, next one.
Next one. Okay, this is an interesting one from Angel. He goes, now that Apple TV is pulling out, I could see Peacock do Friday night baseball, NBC Sunday night once the NBA playoff is over.
Well, Rob Manfred has dropped hints that there will be 4 partners on TV. Now, in addition to this package deal they just got with ESPN is going to get a night of exclusivity. I don't know whether that's going to be ESPN Monday Night Baseball or whether it's going to be a different night. But, Friday Night Baseball is already taken up. I don't know if they want to do Saturday Night Baseball because that goes head-to-head with college football for, a chunk of the year. But ESPN is going to get a separate entity. But the other entities are what the All-Star Game is, and then Home Run Derby is now going to be a separate entity programming thing for one of the network partners. And then they're going to take the wild card rounds and they're going to ferret them out. I don't know if one network's just going to get exclusivity with the American League wild card and the National League wild card to go a different network. So, but Manfred had dropped hints a couple weeks ago that there'll be at least 4 more network partners, and now he's done this deal with ESPN. And again, this is just for 3 years because all these contracts, he wants them all to expire simultaneously because whatever it's going to be like in 2029 is going to be radically different than anything we've ever experienced before.
Well, yeah, because all the streaming options, and there's probably new streaming platforms we haven't even dreamed of. They're going to be around in 2029. But like, if you look at the NFL right now, how many broadcasting partners are there? There's, of course, CBS and Fox, ESPN, NBC Sunday night. Yeah.
And then you get Prime.
Oh, Amazon Prime. So that's 5. And then sometimes Peacock, because I remember there was that playoff game a couple of years ago.
And Apple got some odd, unique.
That's 7.
One-offs, at least 7.
And then you got the NFL Network. Does that count? Kind of does. They play games on the NFL Network.
Sure, but that's now going to be under the ESPN umbrella.
But I remember like the 3rd game on Thanksgiving was always on the NFL Network, wasn't it? Yeah. So I don't know. By the way, do you ever like click through on your TV and you'll see the NFL Network, and it always seems to have like an old NFL game on, and it might be one from last weekend or one from 3 years ago. It's kind of interesting.
It's called filler, but I don't have a lot of time to look at all that.
Well, if it's like the 1982 NFC Championship, Niners Cowboys, you got to watch that.
Anything's possible.
Okay,
it's really going to be interesting. I just think back. I grew up on sports on TV. Now, I've seen a few more 3rd down and longs than you have in life.
Just a few.
Yeah, just a few. Although I look better than you do. But at the end of the day, I mean, I watched TV as a kid, black and white TV.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I grew up on Long Island, black and white TV. Yankees, Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Giants, the old NFL New York Football Giants. So man, it's come a long way.
Well, I have a good story to tell because I remember in the mid 70s. I was like 10 years old and we had an old black and white TV in our living room.
Zenith, baby.
Yeah, exactly. It was something like that, and it was right before the Red Sox World Series, which was so classic. And my father, who wasn't, I don't know if he was working at the time, he went out during the day and he brought me along and went and bought a brand new color TV. Oh. And it was one of those big ones. It was like a big block of wood, with the tube built into it, and brought it home. And I was thrilled, because I got to see Pete Rose and, Yastrzemski and the whole thing in that year. My mom was angry when she came. What did you just do? And he wasn't working then. You were taking on all this other TV. It was crazy, but yeah. Black and white back in the day.
Now, everybody there in the fans forum, they're living in modern day.
Oh, yeah.
So they got multiple channels, multiple streaming, every type of venue. Now, I grew up in the black and white era. Cable? What's cable? I grew up in the era where the antenna was hooked up outside on the roof, outside the bedroom. And the wind would blow on Long Island and the antenna would shift and what you were watching would go away. You get all snowy and fuzzy.
Yeah.
And I have to send my brother up there, open that window, put your hand out there and take the antenna and turn it back and then tighten it.
Well, do you ever put tinfoil on the rabbit ears?
Yes.
So they look like two NASCAR flags,
Yeah.
you know? I remember when I was in high school, I was dating this girl and I went to her house and her dad had gotten cable because they were in a different city than where there's the next door city. And they got cable before we did. And he was watching Atlanta Braves baseball on WTBS. And I was like, what's going on? You get every game? And that's amazing. And I was just so thrilled by it. And my girlfriend at the time just rolling her eyes. She couldn't believe that I was
She put your ass on waivers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just,
Yeah, I mean, cable was the onset. I mean, it all began with Harry Carey, WGN Chicago, Skip Carey, and Ernie Johnson, what was it, SB in Atlanta? What was the TV? Or
wasn't it WTBS, wasn't it?
TBS.
Yeah. Is that the same Ernie Johnson that's doing the NBA?
That was his father.
His father.
Father was a Baltimore Oriole pitcher, became a great broadcaster.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Some more history here from the baseball sports guru.
I know everything about everything.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you.
Okay, and
Angel, that's a good question. Thanks,
man. It's a good one. I agree. Let's go here to Bill. He goes, not sure what all the fuss is about with the Padres GM and his genius deals every year at trade deadline. Every year he gives away the farm and wins nothing.
It's like the guy's supposed to show his driver's license when you do that. Make sure it's stapled right there says Dodger fan. Oh, that's the Dodger currency is Dodger dollars, free agency, evil empire. Padre currency is their farm system. They spend it, they sign them, and then they get rid of them. He keeps buying on credit card. Last I checked, sometime down the road, the credit card, everything comes due. And what are you going to do when there's no farm system left and every one of those veteran players you got is age 35 or older and their productivity started to go down and you're stuck with those contracts? That's the alarming thing to me. He disagrees with me, says, no problem. There'll be another wave of kids coming in 3 years.
Yeah, and plus revenue is going to keep skyrocketing. So you figure that, the revenue share from whatever new media deal Rob Manfred cooks up, be more money in the coffers of these teams. And yeah, you'll probably have to pay some money on that old Xander Bogaerts contract that's been hanging around. They'll be fine.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. We'll see. I don't want any whining and complaining if 2 years from now this thing isn't going very well.
Now, here, a little bit of a tangent. What about the GM of the New England Patriots? You were talking about wheeling and dealing, getting Micah Parsons from the Cowboys or Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. Maybe he could be like the A.J. Preller of the NFL.
Could be. They got cap space. They got $60 million cap space, got multiple number ones. It's bizarre to me because everything during the Belichick era with the Patriots was see no evil, talk to nobody. And now you got Eli Wolf, the son of the legendary Green Bay general manager Ron Wolf, saying, we got cap space, we got number ones, and I'm open for business, and we're going to make a trade.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a guy that wants to win right now.
Yeah. So it took a while for me to get convinced that Preller was doing the right thing because he made so many mistakes for such a long period of time. But obviously, I mean, all the creative work that they've done, I don't know if I call them a genius because they haven't been to a World Series yet, but they've made Padre baseball really something special in our community over the last 5 years. Now, can they continue this forever and ever and ever? That's debatable, but I'm a believer, and I always said, first time I met him, I used the term boots on the ground. I mean, I subscribe to their investment in personnel and scouts. They find people. If we ever sat down and made a checklist of the guys they've uncovered that they brought in and played here well or used as trade bait and went somewhere else and played, they found a lot of good players.
But see, the beauty of all of it is that A.J. Preller has cracked the code. That's what makes him so special because for the longest time, we were the Padres. We were in a small market. Woe is me. We don't got a chance. We got, Adrian Gonzalez and a bunch of scrubs. Well, now he's found a way to develop new currency, like to your point, drafting well, flipping guys, and now suddenly the Padres are relevant. And then even going into this trade deadline, we were thinking, oh, there's no way. What are you going to do? You're stuck with all these contracts. And he found a way. And he got O'Hearn, and he got Laureano, and he got Mason Miller. I mean, you got to tip a hat to AJ Preller.
I would have never, ever imagined, John, that he would have traded the whole farm system away. He traded 14 players. I never would have thought that would have happened.
Well, he does it every year.
I know that this would happen this time around.
Okay, let's keep on trucking here. Oh, this is the best post of the day right here from Marcus. I agree with John Riley. The history won't disappear. John Riley is correct. This is 2025.
I think it's great that your brother-in-law watches this podcast. I have no problem with that at all. Marcus, if you like us so much, make a donation and help me pay all the bills to make this podcast work. No, I'm only kidding. But it's great you got a family member that likes you, which is kind of exception to the rule from everything I've gathered. And he likes the podcast too.
Hey, it's always good to have fans out there. All right. So this was interesting. Now, while we were doing the live stream, the Padres got off to a terrible start, and there was like confusion in the outfield. And that's what Ocean View Coffee Shop had to say. No communication in the outfield again for the Padres. And I think it was Tatis and Laureano got mixed up, and Cease got hit with some unearned runs.
Laureano is interesting. I mean, he's been a nice acquisition, and he's hit some timely home runs. But boy, he plays the outfield. It's an experience out there. He doesn't take great angles to fly balls. He falls down a lot trying to. He's made some hellacious catches against the fence, but he's also almost gotten killed a couple times too. So I don't know that you want to base your whole defense on what Laureano's doing in the Garden, but that's a good pickup.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, his hitting numbers are exemplary, but he's nice for left field. So now assuming you want to play O'Hearn and Sheets frequently, and you've got Merrill coming back, okay, what does that do? I mean, someone's going to be the odd man out. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, if you have Laureano in left, you got Merrill in center.
If he's healthy, but he's got a bone bruise.
But let's assume that he's healthy. At some point, he'll be healthy. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you could have O'Hearn or Arise alternate between the first base and the DH. And where the hell is Gavin Sheets?
He's his first guy off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody gets dinged, then he plays. You can't sit Arise for an extended period of time. I know he's a wild swinger. I mean, I've never seen in modern day, I haven't seen very many guys that can swing at balls in the next area code and still put them in play, get base hits. He's making $14 million. So you're not going to sit him for an extended period, but you can rotate and platoon guys in and out and make one guy a DH, etc. But I think Sheets probably is the first guy off the bench, only because Laureano is hitting close to 300 right now with a little bit of pop. But Laureano is a bit of an experience in left field.
Yeah, but I still love the dude.
Okay.
I mean, you sure? I mean, who are you going to do? What else is you're going to do? Put Bryce Johnson out there? I mean, no. I mean, the guy can barely hit over 200.
I find it interesting though. The A's got rid of Laureano, and then the Orioles did too. I didn't understand that.
Well, it was interesting in one of the broadcasts. They said that Bob Melvin said that Laureano was his favorite player when he was the manager of the A's.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it.
Probably the only player who's the manager of the A's.
Yeah, but he's a gamer, Yeah. And I mean, he has been the most refreshing thing because when they made that deal, I thought, okay, or Laureano, serviceable left fielder, and this O'Hearn guy, maybe some power. But suddenly Laureano was the more interesting piece.
But I think O'Hearn is like Sheets, streaky.
All right, I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out more about these guys.
Ocean View, you be with us anytime. Thank you.
Okay. We just got to throw this one in. Another one from John. Be a man. Call the ladies line. Okay. All right, let's go here to Joe. He goes, I heard that it was Salt Lake City that has everything in place for an expansion team.
Salt Lake City is kind of late to the game, but Portland, I think, seems to be a little bit ahead of schedule. Salt Lake City it could be a regional market. It's next door to Colorado, too. Portland's a much smaller situation, but there's a lot of money in the state of Oregon. You get Nike involved in it. I think there's significant money there. So it's going to be interesting. To me, there's going to be one in the Northwest. There's going to be one in the South. I think that's the way it's going to work out. And I think Nashville is really the leader there. I keep hearing Portland's kind of pushed themselves to the forefront.
Portland has long been rumored as an expansion opportunity. By the way, did you ever see that movie as a Kurt Russell movie that I think it was his father that owned a semi-pro team, and I think it was based in Portland, wasn't it?
Might have been.
Yeah, the something bastards of baseball. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I didn't see it, but
Okay, I think that was important. That's what I was just thinking about.
it's coming from somebody who hasn't watched any of the 25 movies I gave you on my list.
I watched some of them.
Okay.
I watched some of them.
Okay, next move.
Okay, let's go here to Derek. He goes, hey, love the morning email to catch up on all the other sports things I don't have time for at night.
See, he joined Hacksaw's Insiders Group. So everybody is on his fans forum. If you go to my website, you can join the Insiders Group because you get 2 emails a day, one from me, one from him, and plus other stuff that we ship out. So just join the Insiders Group. It's right there in an orange box right on the homepage. There's a prime example because I write a lot in my columns. I haven't won a Pulitzer Prize. I don't know how many people read my columns, but I guarantee you, you're missing some stuff because I write some really pointed opinion pieces on columns that people do react to.
They do. I mean, I'm seriously, you do a really good job. I mean, you're as good or better than all the sports writers I see in town. I mean, so seriously, I mean, I'm surprised that someone isn't picking up and syndicating what you're doing.
I don't think they're aware, or I don't know. Maybe it's grudge mode. Newspaper people don't like ex-radio guys.
But think, how in the hell do you do all of this? I mean, you write the best 15. You do your one man's opinion column. I think it was like 4 or 5 times a week for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you're doing the podcast twice a week. Then you're on TV at least once a week, sometimes twice a week.
And then I just out of town stuff. I do NFL notebook stuff for a whole bunch of Canadian stations.
Oh, the Winnipeg guys. Yes.
Yeah, Winnipeg, Toronto, and Edmonton.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're the hardest working man in sports business.
Who's not supposed to be working.
You're the James Brown of the NFL. Well, a different Jim Brown.
But anyhow, check my website. If you look at it 5 minutes every morning, you'll be staggered at the amount of information that's on there. And subscribe. Okay, go ahead, John.
Okay, let's go here, talk some social media. Dodger fan Anna here. He goes, let me answer your question. Your one man's opinion was totally wrong. The Dodgers sweep the Padres. With much respect, you really blew it this time. Never bet against the Dodgers, especially against the Padres. This is one Dodger man's opinion.
That's okay. The scoreboard does not lie. The fact that the Dodgers have beaten the Padres 60 times out of the last 95 games, including a whole bunch in the playoffs, that's the history. The rivalry is really great. And I think the fact that the Padres did knock them out of the playoffs one time, the Padres scared the hell out of them last year, had them up 2-1 before they choked that thing away. That scared them too. So the rivalry is just phenomenal. And it is amazing to me to see the reaction I get. I get people who email me. They can reach me through my website, email me, and I try to reply to as many emails as I can. It's just not enough hours in the day to do all this every day. But they say, oh, you're a Padre honk. You're a Padre homer. You hate the Dodgers. And then other people say, you're based in San Diego. Why the hell are you praising the Dodgers and Dodger blue and history and legacy and the Dodger way? I can't win. But what I feel today might be different from what I had expressed an opinion tomorrow. But that's what you get when you get me. Information and opinion.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, you are. And I like this comment right here because I love the passion of the fans, you know. Mm-hmm. And when you get beat down, you know, in this case, Padres got beat down by the Dodgers. You want the Dodgers to be smacking you around because you know when the table gets turned, then you have license to do it right back at them.
Yeah, I'll never forget, though. I mean, this is in the height when I was doing sports talk radio, and I was so excited. Because for the first time in my life, the Padres were on one of our stations. We had never had Padre baseball before. We were always the voice of the Chargers and all that. I was so amped. Dodgers opened a series against the Padres. This is when Andy Green was manager.
Oh, yeah.
And we took all of our talk shows downtown. And I mean, it was really cool. And the Dodgers beat them 15-0 on opening day. And the Dodgers shut them out. The second game, I think it was 6-0, and the third game was 9-0.
Yeah. All 3 games were shutouts. I remember that year. That was just brutal.
So, but it's a great rivalry, and you know, enjoy it. And the Padres have gotten really good, and you know, and then it's fueled by, you know, beat LA, and it's fueled by Slay the Dragon, and it's fueled by Jurick Profar jumping up and down after stealing that home run ball, and Fernando Tatis doing this in right field. You know, but then it was also fueled by Dave Roberts, you know, with Mike Schilt and Beanballs and Ohtani trying to play peacemaker. So there's so many dynamics to the rivalry right now, which Is it Friday night yet?
I know, really. I mean, you got Dave Roberts got under the skin of the Padres with Manny. And there's somebody, and Dodger fans insist it's not a rivalry, but can't stop talking about the Padres. So it's good. I mean, the smack talk with all of this is really fun.
And then the columnist of the LA Times over the weekend, this past weekend, wrote, the Padres DNA, they're chokers. It just never ends.
It never ends. Yeah, it's good.
And then the fans get in here on Fans Forum, and the fans stand up and say, the Dodgers are all about winning World Series games. The Padres are all about trying to win a game against the Dodgers. It's great.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like Red Sox, Yankees, Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, the classic rivalries are what makes sports great.
Move on, social media. Thanks for being with us, Anna.
Okay, let's talk in Michigan here from Kenny. He says Michigan should have gotten the death penalty.
Well, the age argument is, are you going to penalize innocent kids that now are at Michigan for what other people did? I don't know about that, but I would have taken their bowl appearances away. I would have stripped them of some scholarships, but that impacts the program, and that hurts the innocent kids that had just signed to play at Michigan. They can't really do anything against Harbaugh unless they sued Harbaugh and mandated that he paid 3 years of salary back. That the 3 years of salary, now that would impact him because 3 years of sign stealing happened while he was under contract as head coach. And in essence, they handed out 14 years of sanctions against Harbaugh because he's the CEO of the football program. But it's an age-old question. What you're going to hurt innocent kids at Michigan right now by taking scholarships away and making them non-competitive? Is that really fair? Or do you just fine the university, give them the pain? And maybe they should have gone after Harbaugh's salary for the last 3 years and mandated that they sue him, that he pay back because he violated his contract because of this massive cheating. But I don't know if there's a perfect solution to the situation. I think what really pisses people off, because I've had USC people that came to me and said, look what they did to us vis-a-vis the Reggie Bush sanctions. And they killed that program. That program's never recovered from the 30 scholarships and the bowl games that were banned. They didn't do any of that to Michigan's kids. That was all post-sign stealing era.
It's hard to direct the punishment at the right people, right? Mm-hmm. It's tricky. And, you take the banner down, you didn't win the championship or whatever it is. It's like, that sucks, but it's not a big of a deal, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, imagine if the whole sports community came up with a penalty box, that it would be like an informal prison where you put these malcontents that cause trouble in sports and give them a timeout for a certain period of time. I'm joking, obviously, but I don't know how you discipline this sort of thing.
Yeah, and the NCAA has been so erratic for decades upon decades about sanctions. I mean, the SMU death penalty, that was a one-time isolated thing. And the standard joke, I've had college people tell me, NCAA was so pissed at Adolph Rupp in Kentucky for cheating that they put Eastern Kentucky on extra probation. I mean, that's the sense of how people viewed the NCAA. And the death penalty to SMU was won when everybody in the SEC is cheating. Do you know what Southeastern SEC stands for?
What's that?
Sure, everybody cheats. So there's been no level of consistency at all. And now the NCAA, in essence, the infractions committee is going out of business because the college commission is going to run intercollegiate athletics and sanctions. This is their final decision. And I don't know that they got this decision completely right or completely fair. Okay, let's do two more here before we pack it up.
Okay, let's go here. Hacksaw fan, and this is Michael. He says, huge Hacksaw fan. In high school, he was on KTIR 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Sure.
Got his autograph once at Phoenix Muni. Listened to him for years on XTRA starting in 1989. Glad the Dodgers swept the Padres, but this weekend is huge in San Diego. Glad he's still around. Listen to the full broadcast. We'll catch these in the future, hopefully live.
Want everybody who's with us, email your friends. It's in your address book, your Rolodex, whatever you call it. Just tell them who we are and what we're doing. And we're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Thank you for the compliments. Proves one thing, John. If you do this long enough, you should get good enough at it.
Yeah, good enough at it. Yeah. You always say that with our podcast, Steven. Okay, let's go here. Talk some Aztec football. This is kind of a little bit long, but it's a good one. Day One Rob says, The root of the problem at this point is J.D. Wicker and President De La Torre. This loss of momentum was Rocky Long leaving unexpectedly. It was an absolute mistake to allow Brady Hoke to take over for a second time when he was clearly not ready to adapt to the current state of college football. Wicker and De La Torre failed the university and fans outright by not pursuing the unofficial Big 12 invite when it was there to be had. The old pack was a sinking ship, with Colorado leaving and Oregon and Washington doing everything it could to leave. We will see what Sean Lewis can do, but this situation is clearly not his fault.
Well, these dominoes have been falling for a while, and I'm really disturbed because we are now at a point that it's like nobody cares. There's no interest. I mean, they were supposed to have a red and black scrimmage, and it turned into touch flag football, and which turned a lot of people off. The people that showed, there's less than 500 that showed. You know, I read stories about Oklahoma's spring football game has 82,000 fans, and Nebraska had 92,000, became the in thing to do. So I'm just really disappointed at where it is. A lot of good kids have gone through that program. They've had a lot of stars. This is a unique area to coach because you're not getting Bobby Blue Chip. You're not getting 5 stars. What you're getting is guys who are going to coach them up. And these kids wind up in the NFL and have decent careers. And so some of them have injuries that can't all be Marshall Faulk or Darnay Scott, or the guys that went on to the NFL and did very, very good things. But boy, I'm so disturbed that the level of interest right now just seems to be at an all-time low in Aztec football. And they're not going to the Pac-12 as the Pac-12 as we've known. They're going to Mountain West 2.0. So I just don't know how they rally this thing back. I wish the transfer portal was different. I wish the NIL had more equality to it. Because right now you develop players and somebody comes in and steals your players. And that's happening everywhere. I don't care whether you're at Bowling Green in the Mid-American Conference or you're at Holy Cross or you're at Fresno State, wherever. So tough times for the group of 5 people. So let's just give Sean Lewis an opportunity and see if he can keep players here because he needs continuity to grow this thing. But I'm just really disturbed at what I see because right now I just see mistake after mistake after mistake as it relates to Aztec football. And across the hallway, all things Aztec basketball, NCAA power. Just absolutely amazing, the leadership and the continuity and the consistency there. John, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's incredible, night and day difference. But it just goes to show you that the San Diego State has the ability to build a really good program on par with what the basketball program is doing. And I agree, here with Day One Rob, it's not Sean Lewis's fault. I mean, he kind of got hired last year and everything's going sideways. But it is interesting to put the blame. Wicker, he did a great job getting the stadium built. You can question the marketing and some of the things they're doing to promote it. But the De La Torre thing, I just remember, didn't she sort of flippantly or in a cocky way kind of walk out of the Mountain West because they were going to go to the Pac-12? And how did that work again? I mean, because she thought she had the Pac-12 invitation in her hand, but she really didn't.
Well, the Pac-12 started to fall apart. They thought they were going to the Pac-12 when it was still the Pac-12 as we knew it.
Because that was only minus the LA teams, right?
Yeah. And then the whole thing just eradicated. And next thing you know, everybody else jumped ship, and there was nobody left. From a dollar standpoint, a TV contract standpoint, that's what this thing is all about. They're about to announce their second partner, the Mountain West. I'm sorry, the Pac-12 is going to announce their second TV partner. They already got a CBS deal. They're going to announce maybe tomorrow, maybe on the weekend, CW Network is going to come back in and be their second network partner. But at the end of the day, it's still made up of Oregon State, Washington State, and everybody else in the Mountain West. So it's not a different thing, but there'll be more money in the pool. But I just don't know that this is a step forward that's going to grab everybody by the throat and say, hey, look who we are. You're a Mountain West 2.0. Well, you're not in the original Pac-12.
It's it's not going to sell out a stadium, but it's an incremental small step forward. Mm-hmm. And I prefer that than going the other way. I mean, it could go the other way. Some football programs are closing shop, right? Yep. I mean, do you think that could ever happen at San Diego State? They just shut the whole thing down?
No, I don't think so. Unless there was economic trauma for the whole university. I don't think that, because we went through that. This was before I ever got here in the 70s. There was a move afoot from an interim president that we shouldn't have this. And the uproar that it caused in the city it created an unbelievable furor. And they saved the program, and the program bounced back and got good under Rocky and under Brady. I mean, I went back and did that year-by-year look. They were 106-48 in a 10-year span. That's really good football now. It's been a bumpy road since that point in time. So I just wish the community would wrap its arms around the program, because they need to fill that stadium, and they need to have an aura of excitement. And I just don't see it in football. There's no buzz in football, none at all. I mean, their season tickets have gone from 15,973 down to 6,600. And that's with cutting prices and trying to do unique promotions. People walked away, and the Charger fans just never put their arms around it. So this is an athletic department failure of big magnitude. And I happen to like Wicker, and I like Sean Lewis, and I had a good relationship with Rocky and Brady, although we scrapped at times at press conferences. But at the end of the day, this is a failure in that athletic department to be sitting here with this set of circumstances. When did you ever think you and I'd ever have a conversation where we'd be talking about San Jose State football being better than San Diego State football?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, New Mexico kicked their ass last year. New Mexico's been down on the floor forever.
Yeah.
It's a tough
are
situation.
there any group of 5 schools that you would praise? I mean, Boise State's the obvious example.
Well, that's a flagship.
Yeah.
And that's a pro franchise into a market by itself, and there's no competition.
Right.
So, but no, they're few and far between. There are conferences that are rock solid and stable. I mean, the Ivy League, we're using the word history. The Ivy League is very important to everybody that's ever been in the Ivy League, whether you're a member of the Dartmouth Big Green or whether you're a Harvard, Yale, whatever. Mid-American Conference has been a rock of stability. Miami of Ohio, cradle of coaches. So where I went, Ohio U, Toledo, Bowling Green have had some really good programs, but it's been in place. It's been a rock and solid there. I just don't see that out here at San Diego State. It's been this.
Well, the Ivy League is its own thing for a lot of different reasons.
Academics.
Yeah. And the history and the legacy and the what do they call it? Where your kids go? Yeah. Legacy kids. Yep. But I think
San Diego identify with that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think San Diego State has always been it's like little brother to UCLA and USC, and so we've always wanted to be that, never got to that level. And so it's been hard to cultivate a different culture, a different energy like the Ivy League has done, because we're always feeling like we got a chip on our shoulder. We're not good enough to play with the big boys.
Yeah, exactly. We shall see where it goes. Football starts a week from Thursday. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. It's been fabulous to have all these people here on Fans Forum. Everybody that's in this Fans Forum chat box, please go check my website, register, and join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. We're here Mondays at 1:30, Thursdays at 1:30. Cannot wait for baseball Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. Build it, fix it, guarantee you'll enjoy it in 2025 thanks to Dixie Line. Is it Friday night yet?
We've got a ball game going on right now. Padres up 8-4.
Can't wait. Padres-Dodgers, and we'll be back in here Monday to evaluate it, do an autopsy, and then talk about what's left of the baseball schedule, because right around the corner, National Football League season opens too. John, have yourself a great sports weekend.
You too.
And you have a great sports weekend. Thanks as always for being part of our team and everything you've done on our behalf on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.